Hi, welcome back to my channel. Here's a video of the coloring process for a page in Kerby Rosanes Reflection book. Since this is the first page and only text information behind it, I thought it was a perfect page to try the water medium. This is not a full coloring process video because that would take too long and I don't think it would be interesting to create a long video. Especially most of my coloring techniques are rather similar. I'm using a complementary color combination inspired by the cover art, so with a limited color palette, things can become repetitive. What you are seeing here is me adding watercolor as a base, and then adding color pencil on top later. The watercolor I use is from the Grabie Pocket Watercolor palette. This is not a particularly complicated process, but it is essential to premix the color to achieve a more even surface. Otherwise, you will notice that some areas appear blotchy on this page because I didn't do that. The advantage of using watercolor as a base is that you get a rough idea of how the page would look with the chosen color palette. Be aware not to use colors that are too dark, unless that's what you plan to have as a background, so that it's easier to add highlights and shadow with color pencil once the base is done. Here you can see that I was rushing things, didn't quite choose the right color, and didn't premix my watercolor. It's okay though. I'm also learning as I go and sharing my mistakes with you all. Later on, I will probably add a darker layer to the head so that the focus remains on the cat. Brighter colors stand out more on the page, so consider using brighter or more saturated colors for the main subject, and darker, desaturated tones for the background or supporting elements. So far, the paper is handling the watercolor quite well. The paper is buckling a little, but not too badly. If you plan to iron out your page, I would suggest you to reconsider it. I previously tried to flatten a page by putting heavy books on top, and the paper became more uneven, and it was harder to add the color pencil layer. Something I recently learned from my art class is that if you plan to use many colors on the page, try to distribute them across different parts of the page so that you can achieve a more cohesive look. At this point, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with the background. I may try to use some new color tool or watercolor pencils. Even though this page initially looked complex, as long as I focus on one element at a time, it's not too overwhelming. I like that the artist had added some shadow in the line art, so you don't have to try hard to figure out a light source for your page. I kind of just follow along when adding the color pencil layer for the shadow and highlight. Some areas may require a brighter highlight than what I can achieve with color pencils, so I may need to return and add more highlights using an acrylic brush marker when I'm done. So far, I really like the acrylic creative markers from Sharpie. If you can't tell from the video, the color pencil I used were Prismacolor Premier. I love how much I can modify the colors using Prismacolor color pencils. But I think I've been using them too much lately. I would like to try using color pencils from other brands to switch things up. To color the cat, I use dark brown for the shadow, adding it to the area that already has line marks indicating shadow. I know one thing people complain about the most with Prismacolor color pencils is you have to sharpen the pencils frequently. Throughout this entire video, I sharpen my pencils maybe once. The tip is to go lightly when you color, so that you don't break the pencil core, and rotate it frequently. It's hard to explain with words, but if you practice that multiple times, you won't have to sharpen your pencil that much, and your pencil will last longer. This works with other softer core color pencils as well. Also, unless the coloring area is tiny, or you are refining your page at the final stage of your coloring process, you don't need sharp pencils to color your page. Even without a sharp pencil tip, you will still be able to slowly layer colors on the paper. Now that I stare at this page more, it surely reminds me of my cat that passed away a year ago. He was a black cat, but I think coloring a cat black is probably not visually interesting. He was a cat with attitude. He would attack other people when he got mad, but he was always gentle with me, unless I try to bath him. Yes, he sure hates water. Sometimes, I still imagine hearing him meowing around the house. I think this is one of his books that feature hidden objects on the page. When I see elements like that, I'm unsure how to handle the objects. It's random and I surely belong to the group who don't like hidden objects. Now, my question is, Do you know who started this trend of adding random things to the page? I think I would like to see more books like Johanna Basford's Small Victories. I don't mean those cozy, cutesy coloring books with overly simple AI-generated line work. I would like to see more talented artists create coloring books like Small Victories, with a cohesive style and line work, where the art is neither overly intricate nor overly simple. Knowing how popular Small Victory is on YouTube, I'm surprised I haven't seen more. Even though I sped up the video, I'm still coloring the shadow on the cat 5 minutes in. That's why I hesitated to do a full process video. I wonder how many of you would stay to watch the whole video. Since I used orange watercolor as the base for the cat, I decided to use a bright yellow as a highlight before finishing the page with a white acrylic marker to make it look more polished. The easy part about this cat is that, since the artist had already added a lot of line work for the fur, I may not need to add more fur texture with color pencils. I think I will try to keep it simple. I will probably make a final decision on the fur when I have truly finished the page. Sometimes when a page is complicated enough, it's wise not to make it more complex. I found that sometimes adding fur texture can make it distracting. I imagine when we look at a cat, we don't zoom in and see all the individual fur. Additionally, if I add too much white acrylic to the page, it can give the impression that the page is growing fungus or something. So far, I've been using the monochromatic and analogous color combo for the cat. I think monochromatic is the most straightforward way to blend and color. From light to dark, we select colors that blend well together to create a sense of light and shadow. When coloring this cat, I added analogous color, such as yellow for the highlight, and then a warmer dark brown for the shadow. I think that when using an analogous color combination, we can make it look more interesting with a slight color variation. In this case, if I use a pale orange for the highlight, the cat will look more dull. I particularly love the result when I added the dark, warm reddish brown for the shadow. I think the variation in color added more depth. Of course, there are many methods to choose colors. It's not one way or another. I've used both monochromatic and analogous colors for this cat because I don't need every part of this cat to stand out. For some areas, I use monochromatic combo so that it's less distracting if it's not the main focus. For coloring portraits of people or animals, the eyes are often the focal point. So I was trying to make the area around the eyes more interesting. The color of the eye was the base I painted with watercolor. I will definitely need to add more colors and work on it later to ensure the eye really stands out. Hopefully I can be successful in creating that. I have seen many colorists who are skilled at planning which colors to use, but personally, I'm more of a go with the flow kind of colorist. I like to try and experiment with things, and imperfection or mistakes do happen from time to time. But then I learned a great deal from what didn't work. When picking colors, I don't use color cards. If I need inspiration, I can visit the Adobe Color website, which has a free color palette generator. You can go to the Explore page to choose existing options, or you can upload your own image to generate a color palette you can use for your art or coloring. Based on the line work on this page, I assume the light source was from the top front, so I follow the design when coloring in the shadow. When I color, I'm not consistent about following a single light source. I think as long as the bigger areas and the main elements look cohesive, it will turn out okay. Often, our eyes only look at one thing at a time. So as long as each object looks somewhat three-dimensional, that's good enough for me. I love coloring and I want to relax while doing so. I don't want to pull my hair out if I make a mistake. You'll probably see from this video that when I color the cat, I sometimes went back to the same area to add or adjust colors. I periodically review the page as a whole to see how I can make it look more cohesive, or if I need to add a darker shadow to certain areas to help the main elements stand out. If your coloring style is similar to mine, I would suggest not using darker tones at the beginning, allowing yourself to adjust the colors accordingly as you progress. With color pencils, once you add darker colors, it's much harder to fix things unless you erase them or add a layer with acrylic markers. When coloring the cat's muzzles, I try my best to add appropriate shadow to make them look more 3D. I also made the mouth and chin area appear darker so that the muzzles would seem to be placed on top of its mouth, as they should be. I think I struggle a little when coloring the nose and the stop of the cat, something with the nose that I found challenging. Even when drawing a person, I struggle with the nose. Perhaps I should undertake a 100 nose drawing challenge to overcome my creative block. I know I probably can take my time to map out all the highlight and shadows, but sometimes I just want to enjoy coloring. I don't want to take it too seriously with coloring. I think when I try too hard to make a page look perfect, I ended up not being able to finish it. I need to remind myself that coloring is about relaxing and I'm not trying to be a professional colorist. I'm aware that my coloring is too slow. Sometimes it takes me months to finish a page. I admire colorists who can do over 10 pages a month. I don't think that will ever happen with me on this channel, unless I finally master my alcohol marker coloring skill. Also, most coloring books are double page. I really dislike seeing colors bleed through to the back and ruin the page behind. For that reason, I occasionally buy 2 copies of the same book so that I can color both pages with watercolor or alcohol markers. I hope that in the future, more artists will release single-page coloring books, allowing us more freedom when choosing the medium to use. On that note, if you have some good single-page coloring books, please make recommendations. Even though I definitely need more books, I'm sure other viewers can benefit from your recommendation though. Here, I'm adding a darker brown color around the cat eye area to frame the beautiful glassy eye. I was trying to create some contrast so that the eye would stand out more with the complementary color I chose. I also try not to be too heavy on the shadow, because I certainly didn't want the cat to look like it had makeup on. Now that I think about it, maybe I should. Isn't cat eye makeup a once popular style? I think it would be quite crazy and hilarious if I gave this cat colorful eye makeup. Well, since I have 2 copies of this book, maybe I will. I haven't tried to color the same page twice. For any of you who did you get bored coloring the same page? At this point, I probably shouldn't, because I still have so many untouched books I need to try. I took a look at my last coloring book haul video. It was 2 months ago. Time flies, but well, I fly faster with my coloring book collection. Here I am about to film another coloring book haul video after buying so much from Ollie's and Amazon's Prime Day sale. So when I colored the cat's forehead area, it was slightly challenging to get the colors to lay down evenly. I think that might be due to my using too much water when I created the watercolor base layer. I suspect that with too much water, I might have changed the paper texture. If I can't get it to look smooth at the end, I may add some oil pastel. That thing smooths out everything. What you are seeing so far is not the final look of this page. As I edit this video, this is still my work in progress page. I will continue to add layers and refine the colors as it goes. It is scary to think of how many coloring books I have collected. Yes, I definitely have issues, but I'm feeling much better recently by having so many kind, warm and supportive people around me. I think with so much going on in the country and around the world, we sometimes take in too much and forget how to find a balance in life. Especially when I log on to Facebook. The algorithm seems to love showing me all the horrifying human behaviors, to the point that I sometimes forget what I see on social media is just a fragment of life. Most of the people around me are normal, kind, and nothing like what we see online. When things get challenging, I remind myself to focus on all the beautiful things around me. This fall weather has been lovely, and I'm so grateful to have all the great coloring supplies and books. That may be why I have been making so many color pencil and watercolor swatching videos, because they are so relaxing to do. So I'm very thankful to have this coloring hobby. It helps to keep my mind off the internet and stay calm while being creative. Life can sometimes be so chaotic that I crave just sitting down at my desk, pulling out my books and starting to color. Anyway, I hope you all are doing well, and I truly appreciate if you are still here watching. I hope you don't have to deal with challenging people in your life. Protect yourself, protect your mind. Don't let others tell you what you should or shouldn't do. You know what's best for yourself. If there are problematic people in your life, keep a distance. You don't owe anyone anything. They are not entitled to be the problem in your life. I think I have gone off topic again. Back to coloring. I took a break from the cat and started to work on the elements around it. Here I was using analogous color combo again. To be honest, I think it can be quite challenging to make a color along video look interesting. To maintain the page cohesive look, I need to employ a similar technique and color combination. I'm not sure if it's valuable or interesting to see it over and over again. For the blue area, I use a purplish blue for the shadow and a sky blue color for the midtone. I like the vibrancy and how these colors blend. I love coloring the pipe structure on the page. As you can see, the artist had already added shadow with his line work, so there was no guessing game. It was relaxing to simply follow along with the colors I already picked up for the highlight and shadow. Occasionally, I use a pale light blue for the highlight and also to smooth out the blending. Building up the color layer by layer, I really like how this turned out. I think the blending of monochromatic and analogous colors is not an issue for me, but blending contrasting complementary colors can be problematic. Have you noticed that with certain colors, the blended area sometimes appears muddy or resembles a dirty brown color, rather than what you had in mind? Sometimes it could be because the color you choose has a different color temperature. Recently, I have been experimenting with color blending, and I noticed that adding a bridge color can create a more pleasant and vibrant blending effect for complementary colors. For example, when blending blue and red, you might expect to get a purple color in the blended area, but that's not always the case. Unfortunately, sometimes by blending colors with different color temperatures, you are likely to get a desaturated, muddy blend. For blending blue and red, consider bridging the colors by adding a purple with a similar color temperature. This way, you can create a pleasing blend instead of an oddly blended brown in the middle. Let me know if you'd like to see a video demonstrating color blending. To be honest, before I started this page, I thought it looked intimidating. All the little things on the page kind of scared me. But once I started, it wasn't that bad at all. I started from the areas where I felt more comfortable, and then I just kept going. So I would say don't force it. Start by coloring the parts that you enjoy, and then it becomes easier. Coloring is supposed to be relaxing and not stressful. For example, it was much easier for me to start with the pipes on the page before I color the smaller elements. I love how the pipes look after I added highlight and shadow. After that, it went faster with those small objects around it. I believe we can be more productive when we enjoy what we are doing. If a page stresses you out, you are less likely to complete it. I think that probably goes with anything in life. I remember I was doing too much with my journaling, and then I felt worn out after a few months. When I first started, I tried to do what I saw online, decorating the page and designing the layout. It was like I was back in my graphic design class. With YouTube and other work I do, it was impossible to keep up with the amount of journaling I used to do. I tried and I learned. It helped me figure out what works for me, and I think I'll be in a better place with journaling in 2026. I'm so glad I started this coloring hobby, because even before that, I had begun collecting many color pencil sets, oil pastels, watercolors, and marker pens, but I wasn't using them too much. The issue of overconsumption is so real. I was doing all that to distract myself from life's problems. That's why I encourage people not to be too judgmental and cruel to people who do haul videos. I know it's not the same for everyone, but sometimes a haul video is not about showing off what they can afford to buy. It could be that they are trying to figure things out, trying to fill the blank in their life. You may disagree with their choices, but let people have the time and space to resolve or seek whatever they need in life. I suppose life is like coloring. We all have our preferences when it comes to pencils. We may love some specific brands, but we can't force people to use what we prefer. Although we can show people how we use them and why we love them, perhaps others will understand. I love how diverse our coloring community is. With the same hobby, everyone has the option to love different coloring mediums and various styles of coloring books. From the simple and cute books to dark fantasy, everyone is doing a fantastic job showing their passion and creativity. Good things connect people. The world would be much more peaceful if more people try coloring. Don't you agree? To circle back to what I said earlier, now that I have developed a love for coloring, I finally get to use the art supplies I have been collecting, instead of letting them sit on the shelves. I also love the discussion with you all in the comments. I try to reply to everyone as long as I had some free time. It's fun to chat about things we love. If I don't respond to or react to your comment within a week, it's likely that I didn't see it, not that I'm trying to ignore anyone. Sometimes it can be tricky to view comments in the YouTube Studio app. It's not so straightforward. I love that YouTube used to send me email notifications when people commented because it was less likely for me to miss your comment that way. I don't know what you are supposed to call the thing around the cat eye. Is that a patch? I think it resembles a metal accessory. I had never colored metal before, so this was a new experience for me. I probably should have researched and looked up reference images online, but I spontaneously started this page, so I simply went with my instinct. If you are good at coloring metal, you'll probably laugh looking at this. I colored the metal eyepiece from my imagination. It wasn't perfect, but since this page has excellent line work, it helped even though I didn't have experience in that. Looking at the progress on the page, I know it's likely I will go back to add more colors to intensify the contrast. I will probably try to add more highlights to the metal eyepiece with an acrylic marker. Before I finish this page, I also want to figure out how to make this part of its eye glow. From the drawing, it appears that the light is coming outward from the deep within the cat. Perhaps I can use oil pastel, as it's easy to blend and can cover nearly anything if I apply thick enough. I definitely didn't feel confident when coloring the eyepiece, but I think it turned out okay, with a good drawing from a talented artist like Kerby. I think as long as I put down enough highlights and shadows, it may not look realistic, but it will look fine. By the way, if you like artists like Kerby Rosanes, I would like to recommend another artist. I met the artist at a local festival. By using the art techniques of Gyotaku, he printed the fish he caught on rice paper with Japanese shumi ink and finished his work with excellent line work. His work is unique, interesting, and lively. I'm displaying his Etsy ID on the screen if you would like to support a talented artist. I don't think I can tell you how to color this page. At this point, I was letting go of my fear, letting go of what would happen with this page. And I kept going, completing the smaller elements one at a time. I worked on this page further after filming this video, and I got bored at some point and added more analogous colors. Additionally, I believe the bright yellow and orange colors I used for the hat are too vibrant. When I add the color pencil layer, I will probably use a darker, desaturated warm brown. Right now, the color of the hat stands out way too much, and is competing with the cat as the focal point. Autumn is here, and I'm debating which 4 theme coloring pages I should try. Time passes in a blink, so I better start something soon because winter will be here before I'm ready. I recently bought the Pumpkin Spice Cafe coloring book by Laurie Gilmore. I wasn't sure by looking at the cover image on Amazon, but her line work and composition are lovely. Most of the pages appear to be relatively easy to color without being too simplistic. Some of the pages reminded me of those in Johanna Beresford's Small Victories book. I think I may try different color pencil sets on those pages and compare the experience. Not sure if you are interested in video like that. If you are, please consider subscribing to my channel. I just noticed that most of the views didn't come from subscribers. This is probably due to my tendency to do too many different things, but that's just me. I don't think I can keep doing the same thing over and over again. I love trying different art mediums and enjoy all the various art and craft hobbies. The only thing I haven't tried is oil painting. I also tried to make jewelry or keychains, but that wasn't very successful. I think I may try it again at some point when I have time. I have also tried to make myself traveler's notebook leather covers. It's a popular style of leather cover by Traveler's Factory from Japan. It's relatively easy to make, as long as you can obtain a piece of leather. You may be able to get one at a reasonable price at Michael's when they have a discount coupon. I heard Hobby Lobby always has its leather on sale as well. By the way, when making a coloring video like this, it can feel repetitive. Do you prefer me to cut it shorter and skip the similar parts, or would you like to see how things go? I know my mind tends to wander and go off topic. I probably ramble too much in my longer videos. I do love making a chatty video though. I feel like I'm talking to friends about things we are passionate about. I live in the countryside and I don't party much. I recently started making more friends after joining a bowling league in town. Otherwise, I would probably see more cows and sheep than I see friends. I'm not saying countryside living is bad, but I'm new to the area, and life can feel a little lonely sometimes. I appreciate the beauty of the country's scenery. Throughout the seasons, I see immense beauty in nature. I think I will take more pictures and maybe paint the scenery in my art class. Do you know I was also a photographer? I didn't photograph many landscapes though. I took a lot of travel photos and portraits. Anyway, I have also been enjoying drawing and painting fall items in my YouTube Shorts videos. If you are interested in similar content, feel free to take a look at my Shorts videos. So, what have you been coloring in this beautiful fall weather? I'm nosy. I want to know what you have all been coloring. Do you have any fall-related pages or books you would like to recommend? I also want to support other colorists on YouTube. So if you want to share or recommend some fall coloring videos, feel free to drop them in the comments. And I'm sure other viewers who love to watch fall videos will appreciate it. Anyway, this video is nearing its end. If you are expecting to see a full page completed video, I apologize. I think this is only halfway through, and the video is already too long. If I make a longer video, it will be too repetitive on screen. Also, I edit my video on my old tablet. When I edit a long video, it's like calling my French bulldog to come. It's dragging and moving slowly. Maybe I will consider upgrading my tablet during this holiday season sale. I also want to upgrade my phone. I believe that upgrading my phone will enable me to document my life more effectively and film my YouTube videos. I'm currently using a Samsung S23 Ultra. I haven't upgraded in the last couple of years because the new models didn't look enticing. I think Samsung also took off some features. I believe they are releasing a new model this fall. Maybe this will be the one for me to upgrade my phone. As always, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this long video. I know how busy life can be. Time is precious, and I'm thankful you are choosing to watch my video. I wish you a great day, a great week, and the enjoyment of all the good things in life. Bye!